trade deadline is 2 weeks away. 2 weeks. And we're wondering, when are these other big moves happening? I know the one shocking move that no one saw coming, Zach. Adam Frazier was traded back to the Royals. People are stunned. They can't believe what's happened. But in all seriousness, Adam is one move that is not the one that people are talking about. It's really about a move that hasn't happened yet. It's the rumor mill that is surrounding two Baltimore Orioles, because let's just face it, where the Orioles sit right now in the playoff picture, the question has been asked, who will the Orioles deal at the deadline? And it's caused a buzz, so much so that there's two names that seem to be of interest for a lot of those teams that think that they can make a run at the postseason and win the World Series. And today, Ken Rosenthal just put out an article explaining that two Orioles that I didn't think would be on the table actually might be. So, Zach, can we pull up that article real quickly?
Yeah.
So right here, this is in the article. The difference between a Charlie Morton and Rodgers is that Rodgers is under team control for one more season, and the Orioles plan to contend in 2026. Their current projected rotation would include Grayson Rodriguez and Kyle Bradish, both of whom could be hard-pressed to carry significant workloads coming off major injuries. And now the Orioles are listening on Rodgers just as they are listening on closer Felix Bautista, who is under club control for 2 additional seasons. A source briefed on the team's plans, however, said it was unlikely either would be traded, and the Orioles have nearly a dozen potential free agents to work through, including all-star Ryan O'Hearn, and trades involving some or most of those players will be the priority. Okay, so the word unlikely is in there, that Felix Bautista gets traded. The word unlikely. But man, I didn't expect that would be on the bingo card. Not that I'm surprised, because I think that the Orioles need to do their due diligence here, Zach. They need to see if a team is going to give them what they want. And actually, let's pull up Felix Bautista's numbers here for the season. The mountain's starting to look like the mountain, especially as of the last month plus. 33 and 2/3 innings. How about 48 punchies over that time? He's definitely looking like that all-star premier closer, Zach. But is this just all talk? Or do you think that any team is going to give in to the demands of what Baltimore would accept? Because to me, I think it has to be an ace pitcher prospect, or they're not even going to entertain the conversation.
Listen, this is where it gets interesting, because I want to make this very clear. There's a difference. Should the Baltimore Orioles be listening to offers for Felix Bautista? 1,000%. 1,000% you should listen to offers. Should Felix Bautista should be shopped? Absolutely not. If a team calls and says they want Felix Bautista, if I'm Mike Elias, I have a list. I have a list on my desk of maybe about 10 to 15 prospects in baseball. In all of baseball, not on a team, in all of baseball. That I'm like, if I can get one or two of these guys as a headliner plus, we can talk. Every player is available. Any player can field calls. You can listen to calls on any player. And I think Felix Bautista, for the right price, can be moved. Now, Ryan, I'm going to be honest. The price that I would move Felix Bautista for, I don't think anyone in baseball is going to feel comfortable giving that much up. If the Dodgers want to give up 2 of their top prospects, let's go look at them right now. Let me pull up LA. If I could find, there it is. If they want to give you DePaula and Hope, who are 2 top 100 prospects, they're top 2 guys. They want to give you them. They want to give you Freeland. If they want to give you these top guys, okay, we can start talking. But that's 2 top 50 guys. Not a lot of teams can offer that.
No. And here's the thing, and I'm going to pull up that list here
Yeah.
so you can, because the other part of this conversation is not going to be around, well, if they want one of those pitchers, there's some of those out there. Go get them if that's being offered. But you got to look at the teams that are actually in this hunt. The Pirates, for instance, were where people look at and go, look, that's a great trade partner for the Orioles. Well, guess what? The Pirates ain't trading for Felix Bautista and giving up an ace pitcher. Why? The Pirates ain't going anywhere, right? So you got to look at the teams that have aspirations to go deep into the postseason. So the Dodgers is one of them right here. So you're looking at their top 5 guys on this list. There's 2 guys. Their top 2 prospects are a little bit of ways away. ETA 2026, 2027. You just mentioned in DePaul and Hope. You have then the next 2 prospects that are in that fringe range. But Zach, the thing that I'm going to look at here is that moving the needle that you would give up Felix for right there. That's a no, because I don't think it's a priority to have an outfielder. Yeah, we like the talent. The Orioles need a stud, and specifically a stud that'd be on the mound there that can go throw some fuzzballs and have the upside to be a top guy. Like, let's look back to this real quickly on the Juan Soto deal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When Juan Soto got traded from the Nationals to the Padres, yeah, they evaluated these top guys that San Diego had. And granted, the Nationals were willing to, understand that there was going to be some time, but they acquired 2 players that were big league ready in CJ Abrams and Mackenzie Gore. And then James Wood was knocking on the door, and then whammy, you see the guy just do the damn thing, right? Mackenzie Gore, if he was available in a deal, upside, ace potential, just was an all-star this past year, Zach.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying that is what it would take to get to the table. And to your point, our team's going to be willing to go out there and make that move. Personally, I have a hard time seeing that. Another team, let's look at Philly, because this is where people...
This is the more realistic one. Or I should say realistic, because I'm going to be honest. Ryan, what have we been saying? A deal that to get Felix Bautista, it's going to take a deal that you'd be a little uncomfortable with if you're an opposing team trading for him, because you're going to have to give up a lot. I think this fits that narrative of, I know the guy you're going to, Andrew Painter, the number 9 prospect in baseball, right-handed pitcher for the Phillies. He's in AAA, 22. He's expected to be up this year or the next year. That's the guy where Ryan, if you told me Felix Bautista was going to Philly and you were getting Andrew Painter, you were maybe getting a guy like, maybe you add in Justin Crawford or Aiden Miller plus McAble if you're not able to get Painter, then we're sitting there and we can have that conversation. And then I'm like, okay, you did what you could. You went out there and you said we're only trading him if we're getting a potential frontline starter, and we got that, so we did it. If the Orioles did that, I would sit there and be like, okay. But like you said, if they trade him to the Dodgers and get 2 outfield prospects, I'm like, I feel like we traded him to trade him.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with what you said. If you're going to trade him, I need to know that I have a pretty good chance, or at least I have a guy with the potential in the next year or 2 that can be that frontline guy.
Yeah, it's starting pitching. Going to get a premier bat, I'd be shocked if that was a deal. Yeah. And again, this is the hypotheticals. I would be crushed if Felix Bautista got moved, just because, one, he's my former teammate. He's my guy. I've seen him also just be truly a mountain since the moment I met him. It's hard to miss him. But people love him, and he's one of the best in the game. And if the Orioles are going to be right where they hope to be next year, which is they believe they should contend, they should be at the top of the AL East. Don't you want the guy that stands 6'7"? I know it says in the weight, 280. Maybe he's pushing 3 bills.
I don't know about that.
But he's throwing 99-mile-an-hour fuzzballs with that little split piece. Yeah, I kind of want that guy, because it's shutdown. It's confidence in the back of your bullpen. But you can't underestimate the value of getting a premier arm, because that's what people talk about constantly, over and over and over again. I want to pull up actually I want to pull up the top 10 pitchers in the prospect rankings for right-handed pitchers. And then we're going to do the left just to give people an idea of, is this really plausible here? And then we'll get into Trevor Rogers.
Yeah.
Okay. Because this is something that I think will play into this conversation, and maybe a little spoiler. I think the one that would make more sense to trade would be Felix and Trevor, given your state of your team.
Yeah.
Right. But let's pull up the top righties right here. Here's the top 10. And ready, 3, 2, 1, whammy. There it is. So when you're looking at this list, we just mentioned Andrew Painter.
Yeah.
He's in the top 3 of top right-handed arms. These are right-handed pitchers. Then we'll go left. Are the Reds moving Chase Burns? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Are the Pirates going to trade Bubba?
Nope.
No. Jacob Mizorowski, all-star, 25 innings. They're moving the guy that throws 98-mile-an-hour slide pieces. No. I don't know much about with Rhett Lauder. I don't know as much with him, but the Reds, where they are, I don't see it.
He's supposed to be there. I can talk about him a little bit. He's kind of their next guy. He's the next Chase Burns, even though he was drafted the year before. He's kind of that next star added to that rotation. But Ryan, not even saying, okay, are they going to move these guys? Are the Reds selling top prospects for I know it's 2 years after this, but are the Reds really in contention that much where they're moving those guys? Are the Nationals in contention that much where they're moving two guys, one of those top guys? Blue Jays, I don't think the Orioles would deal with them. Mets are another team, but okay, so now you have 3 of these 10 guys. I would say that realistically, the 2 Mets pitchers and Painter that realistically would want, someone, and even the Mets, they have Diaz. Why would they want? So now it's like it's Painter or nothing in this list.
And to the point, I want to just back with Rhett. Yeah. When I say not knowing as much about the situation, I meant more of, I don't know if they would actually be willing to move him, because talent wise, you're right. He's right there underneath with Burns, and you got 2 guys, and the Reds are in this thing. So that's why I just don't see that happening, especially where Rhett is now in the big league. So, but going down this list, you trade in division. Toronto could be one with Trey. Okay. The one that I actually think that the Orioles really want? I think they really want?
What's that?
I think they want Nolan McLean. I really think they want him. Those 2 guys, Jonah and Nolan, I would circle both of those guys if I were an Orioles fan. I think realistically, one of those guys could get moved because of where the Mets are and because of what they are going to try to accomplish. That to me is the only 2 on that list that I think the Orioles realistically are eyeing. Okay. And you might think I'm crazy. You know why I bring up the Nolan part?
Why?
Didn't the Orioles draft him? Am I losing my mind on that?
I forgot about that.
Didn't the Orioles draft him and he didn't sign?
They did. I forgot.
Give me the hat over there for a minute. Give me that hat for a second. Throw it over here. So what you're telling me is, would the Orioles go after a guy that they couldn't come to terms with, but they really liked? I'm just saying, makes you think here. It would make you think. Mm-hmm. But in all seriousness, when you're looking at that list of right-handed arms, I think that's the only 2 arms that are actually going to be attainable because of the team that they're on. I don't think that the Phillies are going to give up Andrew Painter. I think the Mets would toy with giving up one of their 2 top pitching prospects right there. But now let's go to the other side of Trevor Rogers, right? And Trevor Rogers is having a resurgence. And when we look at this, Trevor Rogers, you look at his career, 17-35, 4.14 ERA. But really, his success came in year 1 in 2021 as a rookie, where he was an all-star, had a lot of injuries, and then lost his form. And then there was this season in the minor leagues to start, had the knee issue, the knee problem before spring training, got right, waited his turn, and fans saw him on a doubleheader day in Boston and thought, is that going to be a fluke? Well, so far through 35 innings, he's looked like the Orioles' best pitcher. And
just as we all suspected.
As everyone expected. I have a hard time thinking, Zach, of the two guys, I don't see them willing to give up Trevor Rogers if this is what he's going to be for your team, possibly next year. You don't have the pitching depth from the starters at this current moment. And if he pitches this way, your staff, hypothetically on paper with a healthy Kyle and Grayson Rodriguez, it's a good trio.
I'll throw in Dean.
Throw in Dean. Don't forget. How could I forget about Dino, who has upside?
Who also leads the Orioles in almost every category of pitcher, but people refuse to acknowledge that. But
people don't want to admit that Dean Kramer is actually better than he has been perceived.
I put out before the season that Dean Kramer was going to mess around and lead the Orioles in wins, and you would have thought I said the most controversial take ever on Twitter, and he leads the Orioles in wins halfway through the year. So I think people do underestimate Dean. But back to Trevor Rogers, I agree. And I'll throw this hand in as well. Why would Mike Elias, after everything last year, you traded Stowers, you traded Norby, and you get Trevor Rogers knowing, okay, we're going to probably play the long game on this one. He may not help us immediately. This is going to be something that we need to, maybe fix some mechanics, get, maybe the injury, let him rest up, figure that stuff out. I think they knew that 2025 was the year for Trevor Rogers. So if you're finally seeing your quote unquote master plan, okay, we see what Trevor Rogers can be. We just got to unlock it. If you see that already, you're seeing that come to fruition. Why are you trading him now? If you genuinely felt like when you acquired Trevor Rogers, because they said when they got him, they were comfortable giving up those two guys because they feel like they know what Trevor can be. Now he's being that. He is looking like one of those good left-handed pitchers. Why would you give up on that? Why would you give it away? I agree. I think weirdly, I would be more shocked if they traded Rogers than Felix at this point.
I would for that. And starting pitching is a premium. As much as I think, though, having a back-end guy that is just nails, I think that that's so valuable. We've seen life when Felix Bautista hasn't been there, where it's by a committee. I don't like a by committee approach with any team. I mean, to be honest, I don't love the whole when you have to platoon guys all the time for teams. Like, I know the Orioles do a lot of it, and it works to an extent, but I like guys that are set in their roles. Closing is a hard role. It's extremely hard. That not everyone is meant to be a closer. So if you move on from that and you're going to be a contender, you're in need for that. And so that's something to look at, but you can't undermine the fact that if your starting pitching has the problems, and especially like the Orioles with the start that they got off to, you're sitting there going, well, damn, like we need as much starting pitching as we can get. The last group of lists that I'll throw up here, and if you're new to the channel, hit the like and subscribe button, was those left-handed pitchers.
This is even slimmer.
It is. It's even slimmer because really when you're looking at this list.
What team there besides the Dodgers and the Giants are going to be buying right now?
Yeah, they're not. Miami, I don't see. Well, actually, I'll take it back with Miami. Miami has a plethora of just talent in this, place. So they could move a guy in the big leagues. Like Sandy is the one name that's still, I think a lot of the contenders are really going to knock on the door and try to give them a deal that the Marlins can't refuse. But if you're the Marlins, you only trade one of these left-handed arms if you're getting a premier bat, right? So you got to give up a premier bat. I think teams would consider, but that's not helping a team win the playoffs this year, right? Yeah. That's not helping a team win the playoffs right now. So I think that it's really slim that the Orioles are going to trade Felix Bautista because of the plethora of arms that are available. And I don't think that Trevor Rogers should be dealt either. And I think for the Orioles, why so many teams are looking at them is because they have actually so much veteran talent. They do. If I'm Philly, I'm the Mets. One of those teams should be calling Mike Elias every single day.
Yeah.
They should. I am very bullish on this. Will not be surprised, Zach. I actually expect that the Mets are going to call the Orioles and be one of those teams constantly in. I think that the Phillies and the Mets are going to fight for going to get a guy.
Yeah.
And I think then if we're going to look out west, I think the Dodgers, they're going to look to enhance their lineup. In the American League, it's a little trickier because Seattle's going to probably be in this mix. Yeah. Houston, I don't know if they want to buy. They got I think they'll buy bullpen arms. Like Dominguez, I think, is a guy that could go. That's why everyone looks at Baltimore, is because of how many assets they actually have. Because Zach, they actually have a good roster. Mm-hmm. They have a good roster. The team has just severely underperformed.